Everyone knows that in order to get the big-time superstar players, you have to give superstar money. However, as a hockey fan, there are few feelings better than knowing you've got a super talented player on your squad with an affordable contract. So let's take a look at some of the best contracts in the NHL today. Nate MacKinnon has 1 year left on his 7-year, $44.1 million deal. So right now, the Colorado Avalanche are only paying an annual average salary of $6.3 million, which is a nice deal for the Avalanche as MacKinnon has established himself as one of the best players in the league. The rumors are that MacKinnon and his camp are looking to make the young superstar into the highest paid player in the NHL when the Avalanche come calling to re-sign him. This would mean that MacKinnon could make upward of $13 million a year in the near future. So compared to that, the $6.3 million a deal is a bargain. Most believe MacKinnon will get that contract too. He's only 26 years old and is coming off of a Stanley Cup championship and seems to fit perfectly well with other Avalanche stars like Gabriel Landeskog and Cale Makar. So Avalanche fans better soak in the last cheap year of their star MacKinnon before he gets a well-deserved pay raise. You know you're good when you have the highest cap hit in the league and you're still thought of as one of the best contracts in the NHL. Currently, McDavid is on a 4-year, $12.5 million average annual value. Although the Oilers don't have much wiggle room to make moves, they hardly need to as McDavid keeps on surpassing his expectations and the ever-increasing dollar amount to keep him in an Oilers jersey. At just 25 years old, McDavid is yet to hit his prime years, which sounds like terrible news for all non-Oilers fans. Since his rookie season, he's finished 4th in goals and 1st in both assists and points. He also posted the 5th highest playoff points per game ratio in the modern era. The 4-year deal will end when McDavid is 29 years old, so the Oilers have this superstar locked in for his prime years. Realistically, McDavid is underpaid at $12.5 million a year. He could get paid the max amount allowable under the CBA, which is 20% of the salary cap, equating to $16.5 million, and no one would bat an eye. That's why this contract is a steal. Currently, Elias Lindholm has 2 years remaining on his contract where he's getting paid $4.85 million per year, which is great for the Calgary Flames, who've been scrambling to keep their team together after both Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk moved on from the Flames. Lindholm had his best season last year as he was a finalist for the Frank J. Selk Trophy, which is handed out to the most skilled defender in the league. When Lindholm was featured in a 5v5 lineup, Flames claimed a 55.6% stake of all shots, 59.2% of scoring chances, and 58.5% of expected goals. So it's easy to say that Lindholm is not only worth the money, but does all the small intangible things that make a player invaluable. On top of his defense, Lindholm scored 42 goals and had 40 assists last year. So it looks like Lindholm is at the peak of his career right now, while still on a relatively cheap contract for the Flames. When Draisaitl first signed his 8-year, $68 million contract, many people believed it was a massive overpay. But now, with 3 years remaining on the contract and an average annual value of $8.5 million, Draisaitl's contract is looked at as one of the best. And all the credit goes to Draisaitl himself, who has changed the perception of the NHL world with his recent high-level play. Since signing the contract, Draisaitl has won the Art Ross Trophy, Hart Trophy, and the Ted Lindsay Trophy. He comes in 3rd in goals, 6th in assists, and 2nd in points during that time. Seemingly, the only player to have outplayed Draisaitl in recent memory has been his own teammate, McDavid, which we're sure isn't a problem from the Oilers' perspective. So the $8.5 million paycheck that the Oilers have to write out each year seems to be well worth the price. Whenever you have a player that is the best at his position, whatever you're paying him, it isn't enough. That's the case with the Rangers' Igor Shesterkin. Currently, he has 3 years left of his contract where he earns $5.66 million a year. That's a lot of dough. But when you consider Shesterkin had one of the most dominant seasons as a goalie in recent memory, you come to appreciate that price point. Especially if you're Rangers management. Shesterkin led all goalies in save percentage, goals against average, and saved almost 38 more goals than he was projected. This is why he took home the 2022 Vezina Trophy. He's only 26 years old and ranks first in save percentage since entering the NHL. Plus, he had the best single postseason performance since 2008 last year, where he had a plus-minus of 22.6. Soon, Shesterkin will be earning around $10 million a year, judging by his contemporaries like Carey Price and Sergei Bobrovsky. So until then, Rangers fans all over the world better appreciate the bargain price they've paid for one of the best goalies in the world. Makar has 5 years remaining on his contract where he earns a cool $9 million per year. That might seem like a lot, as many others on this list are much cheaper than this contract. But the 5 years makes this contract so worth it. Currently, Makar is 23 years old and is yet to enter his prime. Despite that, he had 28 goals last season with 86 points. Over the last 3 seasons, he ranks first in goals, 6th in assists, and 4th in points. Most recently, Makar helped the Avalanche win another Stanley Cup while taking home the Norris Trophy and the Conn Smythe Trophy. This puts him in the elite company of Bobby Orr and Nicholas Lidstrom to win all 3 trophies in one season. Not to mention the fact that many of Makar's contemporaries are also making around what he is, while not being nearly as good or well accomplished. So when you come back around to the fact that the Avalanche still have this young stud locked up for 5 more years, which would cover most of his prime playing time, you just know Colorado has struck gold with this contract. A trend in this list so far has been young players, yet to enter their prime being locked up in team-friendly contracts. Well, Brad Marchand is about to break up that pattern as he comes in at 34 years of age, yet he still has one of the best deals in all of hockey. Marchand is currently earning $6.1 million per year for the next 3 years, which might seem like a lot of paper when you look at the player's age. But look a little deeper, you'll realize that Marchand has been worth every penny. He has aged incredibly, as every season he's a threat to get 100 points and has raised his game with each passing year. He's a rare 4.5 win player but is earning the salary of a second liner. That alone makes him one of the best contracts in the league. David Pastrnak is currently signed on to a deal that nets him $6.4 million a year. However, the deal is almost up, which is why it's such a good deal, because he will no doubt see an increase in pay very shortly, as he's been one of the best players in the league in recent years. Since the 2019-20 season, only 5 players have scored more goals than Pastrnak. Also, for the Boston Bruins, Pastrnak has been a cornerstone as he's scored over 61 5-on-5 goals over the last 3 seasons, the most for a Bruins player. Plus, he's scored 40 or more goals on 2 occasions. Even more so, what makes him an essential piece for the Bruins is that he is one of the few young players the team has on their roster. In fact, only Pastrnak and McAvoy are under 30 with high-end talent for the Bruins. So no doubt they will sign Pastrnak to a more lucrative deal when his current one is up. So in the meantime, he makes our list because his value will just be increasing in the coming years. Adam Fox really is the complete package. At just 24 years old, he's already won himself the Norris Trophy, and it looks like he won't be slowing down anytime soon. Which is why when the Rangers locked him up for 7 years on a $9.5 million per year deal, it was regarded as one of the better contracts in the league. When you're that young and that good, you should earn 8 figures. Instead, Rangers were able to get him cheaper than that while his prime years are still to come. Which, with the 7-year deal, will mean that Fox will keep the Rangers uniform on throughout that prime. With Fox's ability to produce from a defenseman position, he's often spoken along with players such as Makar, McAvoy, and Yossi. So when you're in such an elite company and not making $10 million a year over your prime, then at least from a management perspective, you have a good deal. Slavin has really staked his claim as one of the best defensemen in the league for years now, which is why the 3 years, $5.3 million per year deal left on his contract is such a steal. At 28 years old, it seems as if the Hurricanes will get the rest of Slavin's prime playing time on a bargain deal. Last season, Slavin had career highs in assists and points and finished third in takeaways among defensemen. Slavin also has the IQ of a top player, as he only took 5 minor penalties, even though he ranked 20th in ice time. When he's on the ice, Hurricanes control 55.6% of shots, 57.4% of scoring chances, and 56.8% of expected goals. So Slavin's impact cannot be disputed. And neither can the bargain deal Hurricanes got for one of the elite defenders in the league today. What do you think? Did we miss any big contracts? Which player do you think might end up being on this list in the near future?